Okay, I am guessing that you are here today because you, like many other RVers, are trying to figure out how to make your RV better in the heat. RV heat is a real pain, and if you have an older unit that maybe has some older ACs, or you're in a really hot climate, you're gonna have to get creative so that you can figure out a way to make your RV comfortable in the heat. So what I'm gonna do today is I am going to go over 10 of the top ways to make sure that you keep your RV as cool as physically possible. So we're gonna get started by talking about the easiest thing. This is something that we can do when we're mobile, even though some of us are stationary. I live in Florida. I live here full time and I'm stationary right now, so I can't really leave. This is great for all the other times of year, but in the summertime, it is hot. If you live, Arizona, New Mexico, even Texas, any of these places that really get killer heat waves, you're gonna have to figure out ways to do it. So one of the easiest ways is packing up and going to a more temperate climate during the hot season. And this might include going somewhere that has higher elevation, places that have a lot more shade, places that are just more temperate in general. So that's going to be your first thing that you can do to kind of reduce the heat in your RV. The next thing that you can do is to find shade. This is not always possible, but if you're moving around a little bit, you can go the extra mile by contacting RV parks and asking for spots that have extra shade. This can also be something that you can kind of scope out before you go someplace. Maybe you have a large RV spot and one area of your little lot gets more shade. That's where you're going to park. But you also have to realize that if you use solar panels, being in constant shade can kind of reduce your ability to harvest the sun, and also you're going to have tree debris. But if heat is your biggest thing, finding shade to park in is going to be one of the easiest things to do when you're going from campsite to campsite. The next thing that is very important, that is sometimes overlooked and really shouldn't be, is AC maintenance. So your AC needs to be maintained, and if you're in a hot climate, sometimes twice a year. Everybody's kind of different. People say at least once a year. I like to do mine twice a year. And what this means is you get on the roof of your RV and you use evaporator coil cleaner, you take the top off of your AC, and you get in there and you brush out, you use a compressor, if you have it, an air compressor, blow out any debris in there, use a brush to go with the fins, clean that out, and then spray it with the evaporator coil cleaner. And a lot of those foam up, and you don't have to rinse them, they're self-rinsing, I guess you would say. And you get up there and do that and get in there and get your drip pan, get that all cleared out. Really make it so that your AC is going to be able to operate the most efficient way possible, and that is by having that clean. That also includes getting inside and cleaning out your inside, your cabin air filters as well, making sure that those are clean. When you clean those and you have those regularly serviced, they are going to be more reliable, especially in the heat. They're not going to have to work as hard. So that is a really big way to make sure that your AC is keeping up. The next tip is going to be making sure that your AC can be powered. So if you are off the grid, you're boondocking, anything like that, whether you're relying on generators, you have full hookups, or you have solar panels, whatever system you have, you want to make sure that it can adequately power your AC units, because if you're in a hot area, you need AC. It's a safety thing. These rigs without AC can easily get 100 degrees in them within a few minutes of the AC shutting off. So really make sure that you have a reliable power source. A lot of people in these hot areas really rely on having full hookups. So finding a place and paying for full hookups. But if you don't, and you want to boondock and you want to be off the grid, making sure that your solar panels are functioning, they're not impeded by shade, and also making sure that your generator has been regularly maintained, and also making sure that you have AC units that use soft starts. This way when you turn on your AC, it doesn't have such a suck, such a draw of energy and power. It makes your unit easier to start and draw less power when it is operating. So that's another big thing to think about, is your power source. The next thing to think about is going to be covering your windows, and remember where your windows are. If you have a travel trailer, they're going to be on the sides, and you can use something like Reflectix to cover these windows and almost do like an insulation cover on top of this. And Reflectix is what a lot of people swear by. Make sure to check out my other video where I install Reflectix on a couple of my windows. You're going to want to park east and west because your windows will face north and south, and this means you'll have a lot less of the direct sunlight. The next thing to consider, though, is if you are in a motorhome, you have a large windshield on the front of your rig. So you do not want to park east and west, because that windshield is going to be probably your biggest window, and it is going to be a big source for heat. So you're going to want to park a motorhome, most likely north and south, so that you will take a hit on the east and west sides from some of that sun. But other than that, your big window in the front will not be a problem. The next thing to do is to use skylight covers. So sometimes they're like a little pillow pad that goes into your skylight. You can buy skylight covers. Just make sure you measure yours before you buy them. I'm going to put some links to the Reflectix and the skylight cover in the description. And then the other thing that I really like is the RV door has that window on it. I get a liftable shade cover for that window, and you can install them pretty easily, and they can roll up or roll down however you need to, but it's really good to cover that side of the RV and make sure that there's not residual heat coming in that window. You can also check out my video on how I installed one of those on my RV. There's a link in the description for that product. Just using Reflectix and the door shade is something that has really helped make my RV a little bit easier to manage in the hot weather. The other thing that you can use for your RV in the heat is going to be toppers. Slide toppers are really great ways to really combat the heat that's going to come in off these slides, but also you know, if you've got the Reflectix on the slide window and the topper, it's going to be very helpful. Not only will it help shade your RV, but it will also help keep debris off of the top of your slide, just kind of easier to maintain. There's products like of this called Shade RV. They're like shades that you can put and install on the roof of your RV when you're parked, and you put them on when you're parked and you take them off when you travel, and a lot of people swear by them, and they're really good at lowering the costs of cooling your RV and actually like lowering the temperatures in your RV. There is a caveat though, because these shades over the top of your RV block out your solar panels. So really look at the product you're thinking about getting, and you have to think about the way it will impact the rest of your system. But people who don't rely on a lot of solar panel really tend to love using the RV shade tops. There's a couple companies that do that. I'll put a link to those in the description as well. Another tip that I really like to do, and I do this year round, is I cook outside 90% of my meals, if not more. If I can do it outside, I will. And this is because two reasons for me: the heat, and I don't like the smell of cooking in my living space. I'm just weird like that. Getting cooktops outside, so I have an outdoor cooktop on my RV, like an outdoor kitchen with a little mini fridge. I use that induction cooktop sometimes, but the things I use the most are my Green Mountain smoker grill and then my Blackstone griddle top. And I cook most of my meals that way. I also use a Ninja Foodie. I also use a Ninja Foodie so that I can cook outside as well. I'll use my external plug-in and just set it on a table outside and do all that, so the steam, all that stuff stays outside. Keeps my RV a lot cooler, and it also keeps cooking smells out of my RV. So highly recommend cooking outside. I do it year round, like I said, but at least in the summer months it's pretty necessary. Another thing to think about when keeping your RV cool is the difficulty that your refrigerator has with maintaining a cool environment on the inside. It is hard for your refrigerator to keep it cool when everything else is hot, especially because the refrigerators are against the outside of the RV. The sun is beating on the outside of the RV, so sometimes that can make it harder for the refrigerator to keep up. One of the easiest things to do, if you have the ability, is the positioning of the RV, like we talked about earlier. If you park east-west in a towable, most likely your refrigerator is going to be on one of those sides that won't have direct sunlight beating on it. So you can think about that as well. In addition to keeping that kind of cooler, if you can, having fans to regulate the airflow inside the RV is essential. The last tip that I really like in a more temperate environment, when it's a little cooler here anyways but it's still hot, is opening up my windows in my RV in the cooler times of day. And this is going to be my early morning, my dusk, and then I like to set fans on, so I'll put my AC on just the fan and kind of let natural airflow go through the RV. And a big thing that you have to realize when you are doing this is not to just open one window. You need a flow path when you're doing this, so opening 2 windows on either side of the RV, whether it's the short width of the RV or the length of the RV. A lot of times I like to open one in the bathroom and one all the way back in my bedroom because it'll pull airflow through the whole side of that. I also do that with different ends of the slides, one end of this slide, one end of this slide, and it gets the airflow going from one side of the RV to the other. And I find that this really helps kind of reduce some of that built up heat throughout the day. Those are my go-to tips for keeping it cool in a hot environment. Takes some work, but once you get a system that works for you, it's going to make it a whole lot easier. And also remember, like if you do something like Reflectix on the windows, all of these things can be taken off. I use sticky Velcro tape and make it so that I can just pull my Reflectix off whenever I am not needing it. So it makes it really easy, and then I just roll it all up and tuck it away when I'm not using it. Same can be with your skylight covers, anything like that. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope that this gave you some great ideas so that you can look at your RV, kind of figure out where you're getting the most heat, and get some ideas on how to address these problems. So I hope this is helpful, and feel free to leave me some comments. Don't forget to subscribe and leave me some comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if I missed anything.